Praise be our one infinite creator. Praise be the one infinite creation. We thank you, one infinite creator, for your love. We thank you, one infinite creator, for your light. All is one. It can feel like a lonely world, and it is such a pleasure to speak with you, my sisters and brothers. I am Robert. I am I am but a humble messenger of the law of one. It is my pleasure to share with you conscious channeling of LL research. I am QO and am again with this instrument. We ask what the query is to which we may respond. Thank you. QO, I was wondering, would it be fair to say that there are many entities incarnated on Earth at this time who have vacillated between the paths of service to self and service to others, or who were on the service to self path but are now trying to follow the path of service to others? If so, do you have any words of encouragement, love, or wisdom to help these other selves graduate to fourth density on the path of service to others? I am Quo and am aware of the query, my brother, and we offer you our gratitude for the opportunity to speak to this all-important dynamic alive upon your planet and within the seekers of your planet regarding what we have called the choice. That choice between the polarities of service to others and service to self. We find that there is some clarifying information to offer in regards to this vacillation that you've spoken to. Each entity within the third density will go through a certain period in which the choice, that is, the domain of third density, is unclear. The energies that pull the entity towards one end of this spectrum of polarization or the other end are not easily perceived by the new or young or inexperienced third density entity. And so the influences of these very essential energies within your density can have varying influences over the entity at any given time. Most entities who find themselves upon one path or the other have gone through a period of vacillation, you may say. For some entities, this is a very prolonged experience. And particularly upon your planet, we find the confusion and difficulty that your populations have in unifying and finding the commonality between one another has exacerbated this confusion. For your planet exists in quite a unique state at this particular nexus, where there are populations of third density entities from other planets who were unable to grasp the thread and thread the needle, you may say, in order to make this choice. And so the energies of these populations that have come to your planet have contributed to a certain environment in which that choice is even less clear and even more difficult to dedicate oneself to. Now, to speak to the portion of your query of entities who may have traveled somewhat further along the path of service to self before dedicating themselves to the other choice of service to others. We do find that this is a somewhat common dynamic for seekers upon your planet. This is due to other types of influences upon your various cultures, particularly the influences of what we have called the Orion Empire and their desire to cultivate the service to self energies upon your planet. And if failing that, to exacerbate the confusion and cause even more disharmony and chaos among the populations. It is not unusual that viewing this choice as a sort of percentage, as we have spoken up before, of 51% service to others, or 95% service to self. One has to engage in their thoughts, actions, and deeds. 51% service to others, or 95% service to self. That entities find themselves far within the middle of this range, having much more of a service to self attitude than a service to others attitude, and perhaps even realizing that they are upon this path that is contracting and absorbing and takes pleasure in the gaining of control and manipulation over others. But we find it quite common that as the entity is perhaps relishing in the power that is felt by these actions, that they will be confronted with a certain catalyst that forces them to confront the fact that they are closing a very central aspect of their energy system, that they are choosing to omit the green ray chakra, the very beacon of love within the being of each seeker. Upon this realization that this beacon is being dimmed to a point of complete closure, the entity must confront the reality of their choices. Sometimes, by the catalysts of discovering that love does exist within them in a limited sense, and their path is asking them to sacrifice that love for their own benefit. This can come through a very traumatic experience, but through this trauma allows the entity to then turn from this closure and dedicate themselves to then cultivating the open heart rather than closing it, because they realize through this catalysts that it is an essential aspect of their being. Those entities who have undergone such a dynamic, which we repeat is somewhat common upon your planet, carry with them a certain responsibility or karma that has accumulated upon their path. They then must balance within their own being and find a path of restitution for the influence of their actions upon others and upon your planet. In terms of how you may support these entities, offering them your own love and your own light, and reiterating the lack of judgment and the divine nature of each entity's journey can help to reduce the, shall we say, guilt or shame or potential baggage that this entity might carry within the self for having realized they have walked this path and have done some level of harm upon this planet. Also reiterating to such individuals who are attempting to heal this within themselves, that all entities have made choices in service to self, that all entities have walked some steps in that path and have created ripples of harm that must be resolved and healed and balanced, can help to cause this entity to understand and find unity with all other beings, service to others, and service to self, understanding that their path is both infinitely unique and infinitely common with all others. Is there a follow-up to this query, my brother? No, thank you, QO. It is an honor and a privilege and a joy to be in your presence, and the presence of all these other third density entities in this room, to whom I love with all my heart. Thank you. I am QO and am again with this instrument. It has been another wonderful, joyful, and loving experience that we have been honored to share with you. You have spoken to our hearts once again in a manner that reflects to us the unity of all of the creation. We feel that connection with you. We are one with you, and you with us. We walk this journey with you and are so honored to do so. It is always the way of our connection, that it expands as we join this group time and time again. It is that which is never static. It is that which grows as the Creator's love through each of you and each of us. And hopefully, within the rest of the population, your planet, as it does in so many cases now, seated around the world, so that hopefully in your future, as you would call it, this planetary population may move as one to the fourth density of love and understanding. At this time, we will take our leave of this instrument and this group. We leave you all in the love and light in which we found you, for that is the only place that any really exists. We are known to you as those of QO, Adone Vasu Boragas.